Okay, here I am again with another Doctor Who article from Screen Rant's Thomas Bacon. And I just did a video where I crapped all over an article he did because most of his articles are pretty bad. And especially when it comes to Doctor Who. But these are, of course, just his opinion and speculating on ideas and stuff. This one, however, is not bad. It's actually pretty good. And it starts off with, why did the Doctor leave? Now, just in of that, I'm not too crazy about his idea here that the Time War, that he foresaw it. Now, the idea that Time Lords would foresee the Time War, that's not too crazy. That's very likely. And you could come into a lot of different characters. I have my own little fan theories that Barusa was a character who foresaw it and was manipulating things from behind the scenes and was desperate to avoid it. And it ultimately drove him to become the villain of the Five Doctors and stuff like that. You could go back and do this. And the aspects of a Time War, which he doesn't really go into here, it stands to reason that manipulating time definitely happened in it, and certain things about people from the past and past Doctors would be aware of it and see it. And it also talks about it being the last great Time War, so that means there could have been others. But anyway, he sets it up here that, the first Doctor is leaving because he foresees the Time War and is seeking out a means by which to avoid it. Now, you get into some of the problems of the early episodes of Doctor Who where he describes that he and Susan are exiles, which would give up the narrative that they were forced out. But that could be kind of nudged into saying that they're exiles by choice because they left Gallifrey. But why? We don't particularly know. And why Susan? To go with him, or he just wanted her to be with him to protect her, or what have you. We never did get who is Susan. We don't really know. Is she really his granddaughter? I assume. Now, of course, the second Doctor, he came along and so he just fundamentally disagreed with the non-intervention policy of the Time Lords, and he makes that case at his trial at the end of the War Games, and it's actually that argument where they say, well, he's got a point. And so they don't completely punish him. They exile him again and trap him on Earth for the unit stories of the third Doctor. But there again, it's not that big of a break to say, oh, good Lord, the stories don't work at all, But you can just say, well, they were exiles by choice because they were leaving Gallifrey. So now he brings in ideas that we got from a New Who, where the 10th Doctor, who we would later learn is actually the 11th Doctor. Yeah, no, I still don't particularly care for the narratively for the War Doctor, but well, what are you going to do? So the children at Time Lords at 8 years old, although I guess the Doctor was 8,000 years old at that point. And looks into the temporal schism deal, and saying, oh, some go mad, some run away, and some would be inspired, or whatever. Or, well, I do it backwards. So the idea is that the Master at 8 years old was driven insane by this experience, and the Doctor was one that ran away. And I'm still running, and all of that. But the idea that Bacon gives, maybe what he saw that would make him run away, is that the Time War was coming. Now, of course, you have to nudge this around to make it fit. If he sees the Time War coming, it means he saw some glimpses and imagery of it to where he knows that it's some sort of devastating war that destroys Gallifrey and it's horrible, but he doesn't know who the enemy is. And so that's why he leaves Gallifrey. And it's also in response that he feels the policy of non-intervention is stupid because they can't, prevent this horrible outcome if they don't take action. So it kind of fits in with that. So eventually he discovers that it's the Daleks are the great enemy that is coming, and when he encounters them, he doesn't know this at first, but eventually he figures it out that, yeah, it's them. And because Hartnell doesn't recognize the Daleks when he first meets them and all that sort of thing. but his mind was wiped because he's a timeless child. Yeah, you kind of have to just forget all that. So there he goes. He does that, and he goes into the details of of what he did, and then there's other tie-ins. Now he talks about that apparently. He talks about, and yet recently published BBC tie-ins have suggested Susan was no orphan. In fact, her father, presumably the doctor's son, was the president of Gallifrey. Yeah, some of that might have suggested that there was some sort of political problem with Susan. I remember a long time ago in the 20th anniversary magazine, they had like an illustrated short story in there, which suggested that Susan was a descendant of Rassilon, and that they wanted some factions who didn't want the Rassilon's influence coming back, wanted to do away with her. And the doctor, when he left Gallifrey, she had stowed away in the TARDIS, and he finds her, and she only called him grandfather because of his elderly appearance. And that was it. It was like a nickname for him that she had. I don't know. But the idea that she's a person of significance, perhaps she is a timeless child. and so that's why he had to protect her and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't know, but for the main reason here that he's saying the Time War is something that the Doctor foresaw and was attempting to prevent it. Well, this could have been, had it been done better, tie it in and kind of get into what was going on with the Seventh Doctor. That was their attempt to make him all mysterious, and that there was some plan and all this sort of stuff. That he did steal the hand of Omega, and that is what created the Eye of Harmony. There was the black hole, the power source for TARDISes, and all that. Yeah, it was Omega. By the way, where was he during all that timeless child stuff? Yeah, no, just forgot all about it. Yeah. So anyway, so this was the Seventh Doctor episode where it turns out he had set this trap all the way back in his first, well, I guess not his first incarnation anymore, but his Hartnell incarnation, where he buried the hand and then he goes and retrieves it and all that sort of stuff to draw the Daleks in, and that this was a means by which he would stop their threat and all of that. So it was kind of this kind of ruthless planning on the Doctor's part, and it was like, oh, I didn't really see him like that before. And so, yeah, it could tie in very well with that, and that, once the Doctor realized that the Daleks, that's the great enemy that he's expecting to come. However, he can never quite seal the deal, as we saw, of course, with Genesis of the Daleks, the greatest Doctor Who adventure ever, in my humble opinion. He couldn't bring himself to destroy them outright when he had the ability to do so. So it makes, he can't really stop the Time War. It's coming, and it did, but he was able to save it and all of that. Not through all these plans, but becoming the Doctor that he became the one Time Lord that could find the solution for them and all of that stuff. So, once the broken clock theory. It can be right twice a day. So Thomas Bacon does present some interesting ideas here that could work. And for that reason, that they're actually pretty good and can work, they will never be used in the show. They're not even going to deal with Seventh Doctor's mysteries. Nah. This was actually part of New Who, and nah. And who's this guy? Oh, well, who cares? He was only the the 1000th Doctor at this point. So, yeah, they're just not going to do any of it. By the way, who was the Valyard? I don't know. So anyway, there's plenty of stuff when you have 60 plus to use and craft ideas that respect it and make use of it and build on it, rather than just pretending it's not there and then having to come back later with a comic book or something and trying to fix it and then forgetting you did that. Yeah. Laziness is a terrible thing when you're being paid high dollar to produce well, it's not a popular TV series now, but it was. Anyway, a lot of this is just forgetfulness and laziness and just not keeping up with things that you could have utilized when it's not really the thing you're concerned about. Doctor Who is not the concern. It's the platform for sermons. Yeah. And that's the rule of the day for just about everything in entertainment.
All right. Thank you for watching and listening. Why not like and subscribe and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my mini stores and have plenty of goodies for you. You know, hats, mugs, stickers, posters, all that goody stuff. Plus, you can head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book Night Night. Oh, yeah. Plus, you can also catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on my channel at BitChute. That's the Mr Nailsin channel on BitChute.com.